Ravens fans, I need you to do everything in your power to not get triggered. I know this is difficult to look at, but you're not the only ones today. You can do it. I believe in you. I survived Hurricane Sally, so there's a good start to today's video. I was without power for like 14-15 hours, but we're here back. First thing we do, once a hurricane has passed and powers came back on, we conduct some Madden scientific research, as today we do a funky one. We shall see what would happen if every single starting quarterback in the NFL swapped with their rival team's quarterback. Hence why you see Lamar Jackson on the Steelers and you see a QB like Big Ben on the Ravens. Every single quarterback now on what their current rival team is in real life. As we're going to go over each quarterback and what team they're on really quick, as it's very subjective to a lot of the teams and who their number one rival is, and I had to have every team have a rival for today's video. I tried to look at every single website and try to make it the best list possible. But for example, like the entire NFC East sees the Dallas Cowboys as their number one rival, and obviously Dak Prescott can't be in all three of those teams. So I tried to mix and match as much as I possibly can. So like, just don't get triggered at me. I did everything I can. So hopefully you guys do enjoy today's bit of scientific research, and if you did, make sure to smash a huge thumbs up. Make sure to subscribe too if you are new, trying to hit 1 million subscribers by the end of the year. We're also going to be doing a ton of giveaways for subscribers and subscribers only, so make sure to take that millisecond that it does take to click that subscription button if you haven't. So we're going to sim one season this year and see what the heck would happen in the NFL, how broken this league would be if every quarterback swapped to the rival team. First thing I do want to do is go over what team has each quarterback. Gardner Minshew, it was tough for me to use like the Jags as my Titans rival team, but I think the Colts at this point, Colts and Texans, like they're more of a rival. I don't know, it's a difficult one. Now Gardner Minshew is our QB. Vikings have Aaron Rodgers. They swapped with the Packers. Like, I know that has to trigger Packer fans. Now the Bears, they swapped with the Lions, have Matthew Stafford. The Bengals swapped with the Browns and Baker Mayfield. Like, yeah, once again, this is one of those like scenarios. Like, a lot of the teams in the North, AFC North, consider the Steelers a rival, but right now the Steelers and Ravens are the biggest rival at that division. So Baker is on the Bengals. Now the Bills, they have Ryan Fitzpatrick. This was tough, but I just went with what QB in Madden 21 was the higher rating. Yeah, I could have swapped Tua, but right now Ryan Fitzpatrick is the starter of Miami, so he does move over to Buffalo. The Broncos have Patrick Mahomes coming over from the Chiefs, so Drew Lock now on the Chiefs himself. The Browns, as mentioned, do have Joe Burrow. It's going to be interesting because Joe Burrow and Baker Mayfield play against each other for the first time tomorrow night in Thursday Night Football, so that's going to be an interesting matchup. Bucks have Teddy Bridgewater. This was actually probably the least rivalry, like the least known rivalry, I must say, in today's video. Like the Bucks and Panthers, they all kind of like both have the Saints as their number one rival, but the Saints' number one rival, I would say right now in real life, is the Falcons. So this was rough, but we did put Teddy B on the Bucks and ship Tom Brady over to Carolina. Now the Cardinals, they swapped with the Rams. Jared Goff is a Cardinal. Kyler Murray is a Ram. Chargers, they swapped with the Las Vegas Raiders. Derek Carr with the Chargers. And the Chiefs, as mentioned, they get Drew Lock from Denver. The Colts, they have Deshaun Watson from the Texans, and they did swap with the Texans. Also, like, it was very tough. I could have gone with the Colts and Patriots being big rivals, but like, I wouldn't say they're much of a rivalry right now like they were in the Peyton Manning days, but you'll see who I swapped the Patriots with. Now the Cowboys, I went with the Washington football team. This one was tough too. Like, a lot of people would say the Eagles, but at the same time, like the Eagles' biggest rival, like it's really tough. Like I said, almost every single team in the East kind of has the Cowboys as their biggest rival. But like, according to a lot of the historical sources that I did look up, like this was really tough for me because I don't want people screaming at me in the comments, but blame the online media, as they do have the Washington football team and the Cowboys as their biggest two rivals. Now the Dolphins, as you already saw, they have Josh Allen as their starter. The Eagles, they have Daniel Jones. They did swap with the Giants. Now Falcons, as mentioned, they swapped with the Saints. So Drew Brees on the Falcons. And we have Matt Ryan in New Orleans. On the 49ers, they swapped with the Seahawks. They have Russell Wilson. That also has got to trigger a bunch of Seahawks fans right there. Now the Giants, as you saw, now have Carson Wentz as they swapped with the Eagles. Now the Jags, as you saw, swapped with my Titans. They have Tannehill. Now the Jets, that is who I did go ahead and swap with the Patriots. Like, the Patriots have a bunch of teams that do see them as rival. I think every single team in the NFC East does have the Patriots as the number one rival, but I can't swap like 15 Cam Newtons around, you know? So I picked the Jets So the Jets do now have Cam Newton from the Pats. Lions, as you saw, had the Bears QB Mitch Trubisky. The Packers, as you saw, had the Vikings Kirk Cousins. Now the Panthers, as you saw, they swapped the Bucs out. Now Tom Brady's gone from the Patriots to the Bucs, now the Panthers. Now the Pats have Sam Darnold. Now they go from Tom Brady to freaking Samuel Darnold. Now the Raiders have Justin Herbert. And once again, it was rough too because I swapped Tyrod Taylor and Justin Herbert. I just wanted a higher rating there in Madden for whatever reason, although Justin Herbert's not starting right now. Tyrod Taylor's a 69 and Justin's a 70, so that's why I swapped Justin Herbert instead of Tyrod Taylor over the Raiders. As you saw, Derek Carr is in LA now. The Rams have Kyler from the Cardinals. The Ravens have Big Ben from the Steelers. The football team have Dak Prescott from the Cowboys. We already saw the Saints with Matt Ryan. Seahawks with Jimmy Garoppolo. Finishing off where we started, the Steelers having Lamar Jackson from the Ravens, as this is going to be funky. Oh, and Phillip Rivers on the freaking Texans. Now, boys, I know a lot of you's probably going to scream at me, but at the same time, I couldn't make everybody happy with the rival because only one team could have a rival for today's video. I still think it's going to be super interesting. I want you to let me know in the comment section below what team you predict to go off with now having their rival QB on their team. I think we see the Broncos have a huge season. If the Broncos win the Super Bowl with Pat Mahomes at QB, I wouldn't be shocked. Same thing with the Steelers. If you're a freaking grown man on the comment section of a YouTube video getting triggered because Lamar Jackson is in a virtual franchise mode on the Steelers, like, just there better not be any of that. As I'm not surprised that my Titans didn't make the playoffs. We have Gardner Minshew and Madden. He's like 10 overall lower than Ryan Tannehill, and QBs are so important in simulation. But how bad did we actually do? Okay, so we did a lot worse than the rest of the division. So the Colts and Texans, who swapped their QBs, looks like they both probably made the playoffs. I'm expecting the Texans to have a wild card spot. The Colts win the division with Deshaun Watson. So that's funky. Jags go 8-8 with Ryan Tannehill as the starter. So which NFL team has the best record in the league if every single QB was swapped over to the rival? And that is going to be the 49ers. And Russell Wilson, that is insane. I genuinely thought the Broncos were going to have a huge year, but god dang, dude. There's only 5 teams in the league that had a 10-6 record or above. That is, what the heck? The Jets have Cam Newton, and they balled out this season and get a first-round bye at 10-6, so it just looks like the AFC sucked. Dog, that's crazy. Now, the Saints with Matt Ryan had a great year at 13-3, but didn't get a first-round bye. The Vikings with Aaron Rodgers had a great season at 11-5. The Giants with freaking Carson Wentz had a good season at 10-6. The Bears with Matt Stafford made the playoffs. The Bengals with Baker make the playoffs. The Colts make the playoffs with Deshaun Watson. The Pats even make the playoffs with Sam Darnold. The Texans, as we saw with Phillip Rivers. The Browns with Joe Burrow make the playoffs. And the Raiders make the playoffs with Jared Goff. And we also have the Panthers with Tom Brady make the playoffs. And we have the Lions and Mitch Trubisky make the playoffs. How did the Broncos with Pat Mahomes only go 7-8-1? That's so freaking funky. The worst record in the league is going to go to the Rams and Kyler Murray. Why did Kyler and the Rams do so bad? So now time to see who won the MVP. Like, judging by that, it's probably going to be Russell Wilson, although I do think the 49ers run the ball a lot in sim. That's me, I guess. Russell Wilson or Matt Ryan, maybe. And it's going to be Russell Wilson wins the MVP on the 49ers with Cam Newton in second on the Jets. Now, thinking about it, that probably should have been my guess for whatever team having a great season. Because Russell Wilson on that 49ers team with the talent they have both offensively and defensively, like, that team would, I think, easily be right up there with the 1A, 1B best team with the Chiefs. Maybe even 1A, 1B, 1C with the Ravens as well. But Lamar Jackson on the Steelers comes in third. I don't even think they made the playoffs. Wow. Carson Wentz in fourth, Matt Ryan in fifth, Matthew Stafford in sixth, Drew Brees in seventh, Drew Lock in eighth, Deshaun Watson in ninth, and Phillip Rivers in 10th. Crazy enough, we did not see Pat Mahomes in the top 10. Moving on, I do want to see some crazy statistics across the league. These quarterbacks, Drew Brees led the league, which this doesn't shock me whatsoever. Like, I think the Falcons easily have the best receiving core in the NFL. Julio Jones, Calvin Ridley, even Russell Gage is solid. You give Drew Brees this offense, they throw the ball a ton, he's going to ball out. So he threw for 4,700 yards. Cam Newton on the Jets threw for 4,500 yards. Drew Lock kind of shocks me, throwing for 4,500 yards. Joe Burrow, fourth in the league with 4,500 passing yards. Carson Wentz with a good season. Russell, obviously. Who had stinky seasons? Lamar threw for 4,000 on the dot. Let's see. Most passing touchdowns is going to go to Matt Ryan on the Saints. So Matt Ryan and Drew Brees, like, they both swapped, but still had great statistical seasons. So he led the league. Russell Wilson threw 39. Phillip Rivers threw 37. Cam Newton actually had a really good year. Ron Fitzpatrick wasn't too awful in Buffalo. Now, who threw the most picks? Who had a bad season after being swapped to the rival team? That's going to be Jared Goff, throwing 18 picks for the Cardinals. Now, Mitch Trubisky threw 18 for the Lions. Phillip Rivers, he always does a lot of picks. Derek Carr had a stinky season. Only 19 touchdowns, 16 interceptions. That's very stinky. And a couple mid-tier quarterbacks throwing for over 10 interceptions as well. Now, completion percentage best in the league is going to end up going to Matt Ryan, 70% completion percentage. Tom Brady threw 67%. He had a decent season, 29 TDs, 9 interceptions. Now, check out, see what players on offense improved because of their incoming quarterback. Zeke still had a great year, 1,500 yards on the ground. Dalvin Cook, Alvin Kamara, Joe Mixon, and Mark Ingram all had a crazy year. CMC only ran for 4 touchdowns. That's stinky, and that is not realistic because he is a god. Most rushing touchdowns in the league goes to Kerryon Johnson and Gus Edwards. Dog, almost like freaking 10% of Gus Edwards' rushes of the year were freaking touchdowns. James Conner ran for 12, and Tevin Coleman as well ran for 12. A lot of, like, Royce Freeman, 47 rushes, 10 touchdowns, 159 yards. That's just a little weird for me. Now, receiving yard-wise, Julio Jones led the league with Drew Brees as starting quarterback. I mean, that's not too bad. You know, going from Michael Thomas to Julio Jones as your #1 target. Devontae Adams had a good season. Kirk Cousins coming over. Golden Tate, Jamison Crowder, and Zach Pascal. Some funky ones in the top 10. So, receiving touchdowns, that's going to go to Deebo Samuel with Russell Wilson. So, Deebo had a huge improvement from his rookie season with Russell Wilson at the helm. We have Traquan Smith with 14 and Christian Kirk with 12. Some random receivers like Albert Wilson, Jamison Crowder, DJ Chark, well, yeah, he's good. Adam Humphries had 10. Austin Hooper had 10, and Hollywood Brown had 10, even with Big Ben. Like, that's weird. The Ravens' offense with Big Ben. I do want to go, well, I didn't highlight that at first. Before we do send the rest of the playoffs, I do want to see how the Ravens did with Big Ben. I kind of completely forgot about that. Did they even make the playoffs? They went 8-7-1, so imagine the Ravens' offense right now, very run heavy with Big Ben running all those plays. Like, that's just, like, he has to have, like, a 7-flat 40. But with all that said, my dudes, moment of truth, if every single quarterback in the league swapped with their rival team, who would make it to the Super Bowl? It's got to be the 49ers. It's got to be. They're so good. It's wow. It is like, what a Super Bowl this is, to be completely fair. The Carolina Panthers and Tom Brady and the Cleveland Browns and Joe Burrow. So it still seems like Madden Simulation loves the Browns, even though they suck in real life and they swapped with the rookie quarterback. So who's going to win the freaking Super Bowl? I don't think it gets much better than this. Tom Brady and the Panthers, or Joseph Burrow and the Browns. And that is going to go to, it's going to be the Browns, isn't it? It's going to be, oh, what a Super Bowl!